Hi guys, and welcome back to Money Honeys. It is very bright in here today. It's natural light coming in. So I hope that doesn't look strange or different or anything. Thank you so much for joining me again. I might say this for a while in a number of my videos, but if this is the first video that you are watching, I would really encourage you to go back and watch these videos from the start. There's a whole playlist of the Money Honeys videos. Basically, we have gone through an introduction to the series where we talk about what we are going to do, what path we are going to follow. We have talked about putting together a budget. We've talked about collecting our income. We've talked about our expenses, and we've talked about putting the entire budget together and some guidelines around parts of your budget. So at this point, if you've been following through the series, you have a monthly budget for next month ready to go. And it is wonderful to have a budget. You've got it there on that piece of paper or on that spreadsheet, and it's like, perfect, I have a budget. And now what? Because it doesn't help if you have a budget and then you don't keep track of it. Or you get to the end of the month and look at everything then and go, wow, I was way off. Well, okay, but you can't do anything about it at that point. You need to have a plan to follow your budget through the month so that you can keep track of what you are actually spending against what you plan to spend, and you can course correct if necessary. If you find that you have spent 2/3 of your grocery budget in the first half of the month, then you are going to have to cut back in the last half of the month. If you find that you have not been spending any of your entertainment budget, you can either have a great time at the end of the month, or you can look at it and go, well, maybe I don't need that, but I'm running out of money in the food budget, so I'm going to move something over to there. But this means that you need a system to be knowing how much money you are spending in each category and keeping track of it so that you are aware of your money. So much of personal finance is being aware of what you are doing, because as we have said, having a budget is a plan on how you are going to use the resource of your money through the month. So you need to know whether or not you are following that plan. We are going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about following a budget, whether you are primarily using cash, a debit card, or a credit card, and I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of each of those. If you have a lot of debt, if you have a real spending problem and you are really trying to cut back on your spending, on your impulse spending, on shopping for clothing, all that kind of thing, I am really going to suggest that you follow a cash method of following your budget. And you will hear this referred to in a few different ways. You will hear it called the jar method or the envelope method, because the idea is that you are going to be going and taking money out of your account either once per month or once per week. And the idea is that you take that cash out and that is all the money that you have. So it's going to become very hard to overspend because you are going to physically have cash, and once there is no more money left, you cannot spend anymore. This is the first method that I used when I started following a budget. And there are two people that I have watched that really espouse this method. If you follow in the States, Dave Ramsey is a big personal finance personality. He has a radio show, he has a bunch of books, he has like a whole empire around this stuff. I think he teaches things that are good, but I have a real personal problem with, he can choose, and a lot of people agree with him around lifestyle, politics, all that kind of thing. But he puts a lot of it into his radio shows, and it's not my cup of tea. I'm gonna put that out there. But if you are, looking for resources or information, he is a person who has a lot of it out there, and he has a very strong point of view, but I have no problem with what he's teaching necessarily. Being here in Canada, I have watched a lot of Gail Vaz-Oxlade's money television programming. She talks about using the jar method. David Ramsey talks about using the envelope method. They're both cash methods, and they're both basically the same thing. I'm going to put a link down below in the description bar to where you can watch online some of Gail Vaz-Oxlade's money shows, and I'll put a little description of it down there because I really enjoy watching them. I find it to be informative, and it'll talk about using the jar method. So basically, the cash method is that you look at the main parts of your budget that you spend, that you are going to be having a number of transactions through the month. This is your clothing, this is your gas, this is your food, this is your entertainment, all of those kinds of things, and you take out that amount in cash. And as I said, you either do that once per week or once per month, depending on what's easier for you. I do find that it's probably going to be best at first to take out the amount that you are planning to spend that week. Because if you take out all, say, $400 of your grocery money all at once and it's sitting there, I feel like there's more temptation to spend through it early in the month, and then you're kind of screwed for the rest of the month. There are two ways of tracking your money in the cash method. And the one advantage to the cash method is that some people say in the cash method, you don't need to write down what you're spending because you just see the money diminishing in that envelope or in that jar, and you see there's less money there, and therefore you know you have less to spend. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you need to write down what you are spending. So every day when you go out shopping, you take some money out of that jar or out of that envelope, you go out, you buy what you need to buy, you get a receipt from it, or you write it down in a little notebook with you, and you come home and you can see what you spent for that day, and you can minus that from your total amount, and then at the end of each day, you see how much you have left for that week or for that month. You're going to have to keep track of your money. I have had conversations with people where I've done a bit of financial coaching where they say, but that seems like so much work. I don't want to keep track of what I'm spending every single transaction, every single day. And my perspective on it is this: if you are somebody who works a regular 9-to-5 job, 5 days a week, you are spending 40 hours of your life at work. And I'm sure a lot of people super enjoy their jobs. I mean, that's wonderful, but mostly why you're at work is to make money. So if you are going to spend 40 hours of your week making money, spend 5 minutes a day keeping track of it. You talk about how money is, if you want to do well financially, you either have to make more money or spend less money. You're spending 40 hours a week trying to make more money, maybe more if you have part-time jobs and you're really hustling. Spend a few minutes looking at how you spend it. So I know I'm lecturing right now, but it's just going to be something that you get used to, is tracking your money. And as we get further on in this series, I'll talk about some more sophisticated ways of doing this. I can walk you through how to make a spreadsheet so that you can pop things in at the end of the day and keep track of it electronically. I'm also going to talk about a few apps that are out there that you can, use your smartphone while you're on the go and put the information in. That's what I do. But pen and paper, easy. You don't need any special tools. You just need to keep track. And picking up receipts when you're out spending money in cash is a good way to keep track of that. Again, I would say this is the method that I started with. This is probably your best place to start because it's very hard to get in trouble with this method, and there's also a psychology behind it. If you are out and you think, I really want that lipstick from Sephora, and it is $27, which is ridiculous. If you actually have to take that money, like that paper money, out of your wallet and hand it to somebody, and then that money is gone, you see it disappearing in front of you, and you see, a little container coming back again, and you think, I gave you paper green money, and I got this. So if you are new to this, I would really suggest going out, getting the cash out of the bank, dividing it into the different things, categories of spending, and use that money. The other great thing is if you say to yourself, okay, I know today I'm going to have to put some more gas in the car and I'm going to have to get some groceries, and I am just going to take the money that I need to do that, you can't do any impulse spending because there is nothing else there in your wallet. There are disadvantages to using the cash method, and I will tell you now that I don't use it anymore. Now that I've gotten a little bit more of a handle on my money and I have no more debt, I actually use a card for my shopping. The disadvantages of cash are that it's messy. You end up with a lot of change that you're consolidating. If you have money left over at the end of every month, which is a good thing in some categories in your budget, like car repair and stuff like that, or gas or clothing, you're piling up a lot of cash. I know when I did this, I had sort of jars for different spending categories and then one jar for like extra money at the end of the month so that I could save up towards some things that I wanted. And I had like wads of cash in there at certain points. Use cash if you are starting this system. Only take as much as you are going to need with you for your shopping you are doing that day, and keep track of it with pen and paper or on a spreadsheet so you know how much you have left to spend for the rest of the month. That is method number one, and that is the most recommended method if you are brand new at this. And I'll put some more links down below for some more detailed descriptions of using the envelope method or the jar method, whatever you want to call it. The next thing that you could do, if you have more control of your spending, and you are only allowed to do this if you are meticulous at keeping track of your money, because you can start to get into trouble if you are using a debit card, which is the next thing I'm going to suggest. The debit card is the next method that you can use. It's more convenient because it is not carrying a bunch of cash around. The other thing about this is that, for me at least, the way the debit cards work now, I can buy something with my debit card. I can then log into my banking app on my phone and immediately see the transaction that I just had. So if I spend with my debit card all day, go home at the end of the day, I can see all my transactions to either write down in my notebook or put into my spreadsheet to keep track of how much I've spent. A debit card also, I mean, unless you have overdraft, a debit card is only going to let you spend the amount of money that you have in your bank account. It's not like a credit card where you have $20,000 or $5,000. $20,000 would be a lot. A credit card lets you spend money you do not have. A debit card should just be letting you spend money that you do have in your account. You can still get into trouble with this. So as I said, if you are a beginner, use cash, but you can use a debit card, and it does have the convenience of not having to carry the cash around and keeping track of your transactions for you. The third method, and this is the one that you should not be doing if you have any credit card debt whatsoever, or really any consumer debt at all, because this is the one where you can really get into trouble. So you should only do this if you are maybe at a minimum 6 months into following a budget and keeping track and being really good about it. But you can use a credit card as your everyday spending tool, and to be very transparent, that is what I do. I have one credit card, and the credit card that I have is a no-fee card that gives me cash back on my purchases at the end of the year. It has all the advantages of keeping track of my spending in one place, because it takes a few days for the transactions to show up, but they end up showing up on my banking app as well. So each day I will go and write down what I have spent and keep track of it in the categories, and then I have an ability to double check the amounts on my credit card transaction, and I am earning that extra cashback money that I usually get in December with my card. Some other people like to use travel points, things like that. I like my card because it's a no-fee card, and I don't feel like I should be paying for the privilege of using somebody's credit card. I mean, I'm their customer. But this is one where you can take advantage of some of those rewards, and some people will yell at you for doing this because some personal finance folks say you should never, ever, ever use credit. I think credit is fine as long as you have complete control of your spending, no credit card debt, and you are only using it as a transactional tool. I go in and pay off that credit card multiple times per month. I never carry a balance on it. It is something that I use, and I try at least once a week to go in and pay down that balance, because I'm not using it to carry money forward or spend money I don't have. I'm just using it for transactions. So those are the three methods that you can use to spend the money through the month and keep track of your budget. You know, if you are keeping track of everything with pen and paper, there will be that flexibility as well to move money around between accounts. As I said, if you see that you are spending more in gas than you expect it to, but you have a lot of money left in your grocery budget, you can move money between those two accounts. I would highlight that and really pay attention so that when you get to making next month's budget, you can adjust what you are spending because you're getting a better idea of what it is that you spend in each month. So I hope this has been helpful today. Once again, please, after you watch this video, go and look in the down bar. I'm going to leave you some resources and notes and sum up some things there and leave you your homework. I would also suggest that if you would like to watch these videos whenever they come up every week, I'm trying to do them once per week, that you click on my face, which should be coming up right here. And also that if you have not heeded my advice at the start of this video and this is the first one you've watched, click here. It will take you to the intro video and then you can watch your way through the series. So thank you so much. Have a great day and I will see you again soon. Bye.